Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In our today's session of Daily Stock, we are going to consider the Microsoft for which we got the fourth quarter results in the last week. And contrary to what we saw in the most of the major stocks, we did see the rally there, but not for the Microsoft. Microsoft was a contrarian case where we saw the decline in the share price after the release of the quarterly earnings, and we'll try to understand why it happened and what is the way forward, how we can plan our strategies to profit from the developments in the Microsoft. The Microsoft didn't really present very bad results. Its earnings were just in the middling level, not good, not bad, not exceptional. But if we look at the overall expectation, these were slightly lower than the expectations, but quite robust, quite decent numbers. And the recent correction which we are observing in the share price can be attributed to some profit booking also, because if we look at the share price in terms of the rise since the start of the year to date performance has been quite solid. It is up around 45 to 46 percentage point, and that is more than twice the gains which we have seen for S&P 500. So that's a phenomenal performance, and now that the company has not being able to live up to the high expectations. Some profit booking is happening there, but nothing much to worry about. And even in this scenario, we can plan our trades and see how we can profit from the ongoing consolidation with the bias slightly tilted on the bearish side. So let's look at the numbers first. First, we will consider the fundamental aspects of the company's earnings, and afterwards, we will also take a look at the technical level. If we look at the third quarter, I think a third quarter report, and I will have to go back to the fourth quarter because we received the fourth quarter numbers and that was the third quarter, so we will have to go for new numbers. If we look at the prior quarters numbers, the revenue was quite good, and here if we look at these segmental results, there has been growth, and the same phenomenon is continuing in this quarter also. Now if we look at the current quarter's numbers, we will observe that the similar growth trajectory has been maintained for this quarter as well. The earnings for the Microsoft have been quite good. We can't really say that the share correction which is happening in the stock is because of the bad numbers. The revenue is growing for all the three segments. Let's consider the numbers for the Q4. Alright, here we are getting the Q4 numbers. In the fourth quarter, there has been growth in all the three segments for the Microsoft. The personal computer space has also seen growth in terms of the revenue, but it has not been able to live up to the expectations of the analyst, and that is why we are seeing the correction in the share price. Now, let's go into the details. First, we will consider the Q4, the fourth quarter financial summary. So here, these are the revenues from the three segments. The productivity and business processes has also grown 10% to register the revenues at in billions. These numbers are in billions. US dollar 18.3 billion. The most revenues are being contributed by this cloud computing segment. The Azure cloud, it has brought in US dollar 24 billion, and the personal computing space where we see the business like Windows licensing and related product offerings. There has not been much growth, rather, there is this decline of 4%, and that is attributable to the high base effect. In the 2022, there was a substantial growth, and that was because in the pandemic years there was large buying, and that wasn't really sustainable, and as the people are returning to the prior pandemic days with offices opening up and people going out, we are seeing that the work is now not that dependent on buying the personal computing devices, and as a result of that, there is this decline, 4% decline in the revenue from the personal computing segment, and overall, the revenues have grown 8 percentage point. And if we consider these numbers to the prior quarters, there is a moderation in the growth, and I think that has been a reason for the slide which we are observing in the share price of the Microsoft. Whereas for other tech giants, the growth has been quite substantial, and it had continued in this quarter ended June, and as a result of that, those share prices have not started to decline, and those shares are still continuing to rally upward. Now these are the details of the segment. So here you can read that the commercial products and cloud services revenue have increased 12 percentage point, with Office 365 offering a revenue growth of 15%. In intelligent cloud space, the server products and cloud services revenue have increased 17%. And on the personal computing front, this decrease is there. The Windows original equipment manufacturer revenue have gone down by 12% as the shipping of the PCs and laptops have declined, and as a result of that, these revenues which come from the licensing of the Windows to the OEMs, it has declined. Device revenues has also shown decline. So this is one segment which is offering this decline, but other two segments are up, and the growth is coming in mostly in this cloud segment, and there is also the growing segment for all the tech giants, because we have seen that the demand for the tools like Binge, which has now been collaborated with OpenAI, chat bought the ChatGPT, and that has generated substantial interest in the Microsoft search engine, and also the cloud server demand has gone up, and as a result of that, the growth has been substantial for these intelligent cloud platform offerings by the Microsoft. So the numbers are telling us a story that just like the case is with the other tech giants, the cloud computing segment is bringing in substantial revenue with solid growth, but other segments are not performing up to the mark, and overall, the picture is on the moderate side, and as a result of that, there is this correction with sideways momentum in the share price of the Microsoft. Now let us go to the technicals and see how things are shaping up for last couple of sessions after the release of quarterly earnings for the Microsoft. This is the chart with each candle predefined at hourly, and here the numbers, the quarterly earnings were released for the Microsoft, and the very next day there was a decline of around 4 percentage point, and that undertone has remained bearish since then. And I feel now the key level to watch out for is going to be these prior swing low at US dollar 326.99 per share, and if we see that the levels get breached, then we will have the reversal of the fortune for the Microsoft from the medium term, even though the long term picture still remains bullish. But from short term to medium term perspective, we will be in a scenario where we will have reasons to believe in the change of technicals, as we will have the formation of lower lows, and if and when Microsoft sees some rally from the lower levels, and if its rally doesn't really breach these close of the prior day prior to the release of these quarter's earnings, I think we can go for a fresh short sale trade with the expectation of these bearishness to prevail, and we can indeed profit by shorting the Microsoft stock. And we were looking at the buying opportunities in the other shares, other major shares which we considered in the last week's sessions of the daily stock. We were more focused on buying those on the dips, but Microsoft is now seemingly in a position to sail on the rallies, and for that, the key level to watch out for is going to be this closing level of these prior days level of US dollar 350, and since the release of these quarters numbers, the Microsoft hasn't really gone close to that level, but that is going to be a crucial level and the level to watch out for. And after the new low is formed below this immediate swing low, we will have to wait it out and allow the Microsoft shares to show some correction, and if it shows some bounce from these low levels, and if it rises and consolidates below this level of US dollar 350, I would feel confident enough to short it with the formation being quite favorable with lower low in place, and we can anticipate the lower high if this immediate high is not really breached. So we will be then in a scenario of the continuation of these medium term bearishness and can expect the share price of the Microsoft to decline towards the levels of US dollar 315 and even below that in coming weeks, if not in coming days. So that possibility is now looking quite strong. So that's my take looking at the fundamentals as well as the technical side of the Microsoft shares. We saw the quarterly earnings, quarterly numbers for the Microsoft, and afterwards we have also considered its technical formation, and both these things are pointing to the decline to continue bearishness to prevail in the Microsoft shares for next couple of sessions, and even next couple of weeks are likely to go bearish unless there is any reversal of fortune and the breach of the immediate swing high, which is there around US dollar 350. So unless that happens, we will have all the reasons to short the Microsoft stock and expect this bearishness to continue. So that's all from my side for today's session of daily stock. And if any of you have any query or any idea to share, do write to me in the feedback, and I'll be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous time ahead. See you next time around with an equally interesting stock to watch out for. So do come back, do join back tomorrow. Thank you all. Goodbye.